What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the JFL. This is our second video, and I want to introduce two newcomers to the JFL. We've got Mr. Bean and Natty D. Natty D will be joining as the Titans, and we've got Mr. Bean joining as the Cowboys. What the video today is going to be about, we've got a scouting report on every player in the league. Only guy we won't really have a big scouting report on is going to be Natty D because he is a newcomer. We'll learn a lot about him the first season and kind of seasons that follow it. We'll see what kind of player he turns into. First up, we've got Jaff.
What does he do well? Controls the line of scrimmage. Think Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Peyton Manning. He's always going to get into the right play, not going to turn the ball over. He's going to take what's there. Does he need to run for 300? He'll do it. Does he need to throw for 300? He'll do that too. He'll nickel and dime you. He'll hit you deep. Defensively, he will not give up the big play. He's going to force you to put together long drives to get down the field. And then when you get down there, you're probably going to be kicking a field goal. You cannot beat him kicking field goals. He's going to force turnovers. You're probably going to be playing from behind. As a result, you're going to have to throw into tight windows. You're going to have to hold on to the ball and take risks down the field. He'll get sacks. He'll get fumbles. Really, really tough opponent to beat. Things he needs to work on. Close games. We haven't seen him in one in a while. Can he handle that type of pressure? If I'm an opponent, I'm going to shorten the game to keep the game as close as I possibly can and try and make him have some mistakes.
Joining me now from Orlando, we've got Drydas. Drydas, tell me a little bit about what Jaff needs to do in this draft to set himself up for success.
Well, one thing that Jaff likes to do is build himself a strong front seven, a run-stopping defensive line with some speedy linebackers to boot. He also likes to have a young franchise quarterback, someone who can sling the ball with ease. My guess is he'll look for that franchise quarterback in the first round or the anchor to his defensive line. My sources tell me that both Joe Burrow and Jeffrey Simmons are on Jaff's radar, but his whole strategy can change even 2 minutes before the draft takes place.
Next up, we've got Baca. Things he does well. He knows his style of play, and he's going to play his style. He wants to run the ball, utilize his running back in the screen game. Then when you creep up to stop that, he's going to use his burners at wide receiver to hit you deep. He also will have two bruising tight ends who are great, short catches, and then some run after the catch. But defensively, he has a great defensive line. He's going to have a great secondary. He will force a lot of turnovers. He will get a lot of sacks. Things he needs to work on. He does turn the ball over quite a bit. When he's playing patiently, he is very tough to beat. When he loses his patience, he takes some chances that he shouldn't take, runs some all-out blitzes on defense because he's getting frustrated, gives up a lot of big plays. If he can clear up those two things, he's a very tough opponent.
Drydas, tell me a little bit about what Baca needs to do on draft night.
Well, Baca is going to build a strong defensive line that'll be swallowing up the run for many seasons. Quarterback isn't as much of an issue for Baca as it is others. Someone who can move around and make that easy completion will thrive in this system. An elite running back is a must, however. His pass game relies heavily on his running game. I expect Baca to go with an edge rusher in the first, looking towards either Aaron Donald or Nick Bosa, and then go grab that franchise running back.
All right, now we've got Drydas. What does he do well? He's outstanding at getting big plays in the run game. I'm not talking just running the ball for 5 to 8 to 10 yards. He will rip off the 20-yarder, the 40-yarder, the long touchdown play. It's very tough to stop. His play-action game is built off of that. So he's going to run the ball on you, and then he's going to hit you with some deep ends, some corners, some go routes where your guys just get flat-out outrun because they don't have the help that they need back there. He is outstanding at baiting interceptions, but he needs those interceptions, and that's something he needs to work on, is playing the bend but don't break defense, not always needing the pick. Hold someone to 3 points. He's talented enough offensively to where he can outscore people. He's just got to clean up on needing the interception to get stops.
Drydas, kind of hard to self-scout. Do your best right here. Tell me, what do you think you need to do on draft night to hit a home run?
Well, Drydas wants that elite running back that'll be the focal point of his offense for the foreseeable future. However, if none of those elite level running backs are there, he's going to go edge rusher. Most likely a TJ Watt or a Myles Garrett. If he's available to grab that back, however, he's going to take him. Accuracy at the QB position is a must for his offense, so look for him to snag a Mac Jones or Matt Ryan later in the draft.
All right, now we've got Dr. Noah. What is he good at? He's going to run the ball. He will not be in 3rd and long. He's going to get a couple yards on 1st down, a couple yards on 2nd down. Now we're in 3rd and 5. Now the quarterback run is in play. He could run the ball again. He can hit a short pass. He's very tough to defend when the run game is clicking. He's going to move the pocket with his quarterback. He's going to extend some plays, do a little bit of ad-libbing. He's really good at that. Things he needs to work on. He needs to get better at playing inside of the pocket and not running into sacks when it's not necessary to escape from the pocket. Defensively, he's just got to clean things up. He's got to tackle better. He's got to force throws underneath. He'll improve as he plays, but those are 2 things he's going to have to clean up on.
Drydas, tell me, what does Dr. Noah have to do to keep up with you in the AFC East and then compete for the conference?
Well, Dr. Noah needs a mobile quarterback in his offense and a speedy backfield to complement it. An interior defensive line will do a lot to anchor his defense that, quite frankly, is going to need all the help that it can get. My sources are telling me that Dr. Noah is a likely lock for the first pick of the draft, and that pick will most likely be Josh Allen. So I'm looking for him to grab a running back in round 2.
All right, next up, we've got Cool Hand Luke. What does he do well? Will use that outside run game. Loves to have a really fast running back where he can bounce plays outside, really force you to have to guard sideline to sideline, and he will get some home runs out of that. So you have to come ready every single game against him to defend that outside run. He's going to have a mobile quarterback as well, so he'll run some boots, he'll do some things like that, hit you deep with some speed at wide receiver. Defensively, he's going to just really try to get after you with pass rush and force turnovers. What does he need to work on? The gunslinger mentality. It works some games it's catastrophic for him. I need to see a little more consistency from that and on defense as well. Don't rely on the turnover. Force things underneath you, make tackles, hold people to field goals. Again, he's got a talented offense. He can score. He just needs to hold people to field goals.
Drydas, tell me a little bit about Cool Hand Luke.
Well, Cool Hand Luke is another player who needs one of those top mobile quarterbacks to have success. His whole offense is built around the position. Speed is a necessity, so look for him to grab a speedy backfield and some speedy receivers to boot. My gut tells me that Cool Hand Luke is not going to wait to grab that franchise quarterback. Most likely, I expect Justin Herbert to be the pick. But don't be surprised if he takes a defensive stud like Jeffrey Simmons first.
All right, here we go. We've got Big Tree. What does he do well? He plays a very, very smart and patient run game, play action. He's going to utilize counter, which is not really a heavily utilized play in our league. He uses it really, really well. He's going to make you have to play smart on both sides of the ball. You've got to take care of the ball. You have to take advantage of the opportunities when you're there. Things that he needs to work on. What does he do when you take away his run game? Can he drop back and throw it 30 to 40 times and take what's in front of him and find a way to win the game? He hasn't shown that just yet. He's also had a year off from the JFL, so we're going to see a little bit of rust coming into this year with the Big Tree. I expect him to shake it off, and he's going to have a very competitive year.
Drydas, tell me a little bit about Big Tree. He's been away from the league for a year. He's back now. He's ready to roll. What does he need to do on draft night?
Big Tree needs to grab his franchise quarterback and then build his offensive line around him. Defensively in the past, he's been pretty sound, so I expect a bunch of offensive picks early and then a huge run on defense later in the draft. If he goes quarterback in the first, I'm looking at Dak Prescott to be that pick. However, I have been informed that Dalvin Cook is a very heavy favorite for Big Tree in the first, so look for him to take a quarterback in the second instead.
All right, now we've got TIKI. What does he do well? Speed. He will have speed all over the field, at running back, at wide receiver, at tight end, more than likely at quarterback. He can take a 5-yard route, what should be a 5-yard run, and really turn it into big plays. You have to be ready for those when you get into a game against TIKI. His defense, he has a very stifling defense. He's going to use the safeties. He's going to use his linebackers well. He's going to get after you with the pass rush. He always tries to build a defense around a great cornerback. You have to be ready when getting into a game against TIKI. It could be a low-scoring affair. What does he need to work on? He needs to evolve his offense. His offense is very vanilla. It works very well, but we need to see it evolve a little bit so he can get back to the top. His confidence. I need to see him be a confident player in the JFL again. He was once the second best player in the JFL. He can get back to that. He's just got to be a little more confident in what he's doing.
Drydas, tell me, what does TIKI really have to do to get back into the upper echelon of the JFL?
Well, I'll tell you, he needs a big playmaker at quarterback. He needs that. He's looking for it. He also needs a solid running back and a lockdown defense. He's going to grab his quarterback early. However, his top choice in Josh Allen will most likely be gone by the time he gets to pick. So I expect him to snag a top-tier defender, most likely in that secondary, looking towards Jalen Ramsey or a Tre'Davious White.
Okay, next we've got a newcomer to the JFL, Natty D. What are the things that we could see from him? Come in as a clean slate. Come in, be ready to learn. Need to see him just take the plays that are there, not force things. It's going to be a learning experience for him. Look at him like a rookie quarterback. He needs to just show some signs of improvement as the season goes on. And that's really all you can ask of him this first season in the JFL. What are the things he needs to work on? There will be a lot. Using the run game more, not giving up on it, not forcing throws that aren't there. Does he just throw it away instead of trying to force a throw into tight coverage? Can he tackle in space? These are the things that we need to see from Natty D in his first season.
Natty D. Not a lot is known about him, Drydas, but just give us your best guess as to what he needs to do on draft night.
Well, as you mentioned, Natty D is a hard man to plan for, probably the biggest wild card in this entire draft. If you ask the experts, they'll tell you he needs an elite level quarterback and some elite defenders. However, my sources are telling me that he is going to snag one of those top tier running backs in the first. I'm looking for either Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, or even Najee Harris to be playing in Nashville.
Okay, on to the NFC. First up, we've got Earl. Patience is unmatched. He'll put together 8-minute touchdown drives on you. Absolutely will suck the will out of your team. Defensively, he's going to have an elite pass rush. Watch out for it. He's going to make you hold on to the ball. He does great at forcing throws underneath. Will take away your run game completely. You're going to have to resort to some backyard tactics. Weaknesses. Defending against the backyard tactics. He needs to clean up. The opportunities are there for him. He just needs to capitalize on those opportunities. Same thing offensively. Don't be so robotic on offense. Ad-lib a little bit. Take the big plays that are there. Don't just rely on guys breaking tackles to get the big plays for you.
Earl, always going to compete for the top right here. What does he need to do on draft night to win?
Well, Earl's plan for the draft is simple. Build that defense. He can play offensively with whoever he has to, so he will go heavy on defense early. Earl is usually boasting a very tough defensive line. In the past, Myles Garrett has wreaked havoc against opponents for Earl, so he's a good candidate to be the pick. But don't be shocked if he ends up with a top-tier corner like Tre'Davious White.
Earl, always coming strong with the D.
All right, now we've got Will Billy. Think of a carbon copy of Earl. Very patient on both sides of the ball. One thing he does better than Earl is the tight window throw. He's not afraid to throw into a tight window. He's going to believe in his quarterback to make that throw. Defensively, a lot of the same as Earl. He's very patient. He's going to have a very good pass rush. He's going to have a very good run-stopping interior. You're going to have to throw the ball. You'll probably throw some interceptions. Weaknesses, he does throw interceptions. That is a downside to those tight window throws. Another thing he needs to work on is don't give up on the run game. He's a talented runner. He just needs to stick to it a little more than he currently does. And we could see a really big year from Will Billy if he can clean up on those two things.
Drydas, tell me, what is Will Billy looking to do this year?
Well, Will Billy needs to form that defense early. However, unlike Earl, he does need a playmaker at running back. At quarterback, he just needs anyone who can make the throw on the run and extend the play and run the option. In the first, I'm looking defense for sure, though. My sources are telling me that he's after Josh Allen, the linebacker, and Denzel Ward to be that first pick.
Okay, next up we've got Biff, aka Big If True. In past seasons of the JFL, he's going to really utilize the RPO game. So you're thinking the stretch bubble, you're thinking the RPO bubbles with the inside zone option. He's going to use those really, really well. He's great at getting you to bite on the run and then hitting you deep on those play action opportunities. Utilizes that part of his game extremely well. He's going to score defensive touchdowns. He'll be in the top 2 or 3 in the league of defensive touchdowns. Weaknesses. He's very reliant on the turnovers to get stops. He's going to be very aggressive with his linebackers. You can force him into mistakes and giving up big plays as a result. If you take away the RPO game, what does he go to on offense? He has problems playing from inside the pocket. I would love to see him evolve his game a little bit and play his game. Don't try to play Jaff's game, which is a trap that he falls into. Try to play Biff's game. If he does that, he'll have a great year.
What does Biff got to do this year?
Well, Big If True is looking to go defense early in this one. He's going to build that defensive line early and construct the secondary throughout the draft. While the experts think an elite running back would benefit him, I do believe he will go with defensive line in the first round. I'm looking towards DeForest Buckner or Jeffrey Simmons to be that pick, but maybe he goes with the experts pick and grabs a running back like Nick Chubb.
All right, now we're on to Jimothy. What does Jimothy do well? He's going to run the ball. He is arguably the best rushing attack in our league every single season. He loves a big power back. He's going to run downhill. It is brutal to play against Jimothy. He'll have an athletic quarterback who will just do enough to keep him in games. Defensively, has some things I would love to see him clean up, but he does get good pressure on the quarterback. What would I like to see him clean up? Patience. Just force some underneath throws. Where he's going to win a lot of games is by shortening these games and limiting the possessions. He needs to just make some stops and force some field goals. If he can do that, Jimothy can and will go on playoff runs.
Tell me, what is Jimothy looking to do?
The plan for Jimothy is actually very simple, Jaff. You grab your playmaking quarterback, your start pass rusher, and your top-level running back in the first 3 rounds. If he's available by Jimothy's first pick, I expect him to go grab Nick Bosa. If not, he'll either go after that quarterback or running back. I'm leaning towards running back, though. Something about Derrick Henry paired with Jimothy is an absolute nightmare for defenders.
All right, now we're on to Grantonio. Thunder and Lightning. He will have a big bruising back, and then he's going to have the speed demon at back. The change of pace is very hard to keep up with sometimes. You'll come out in a nickel set. He's got his power back in a shotgun set, and he's running downhill at you, and vice versa. Very difficult team to plan for. He uses that aspect of his game well. Great in the play action game as well. Will utilize boots and rollouts. Have an athletic enough QB to extend it on the ground if he needs to. He's going to take the quick throws that are there. Really tough style to play against. You have to have patience. Weaknesses. He gives up on stuff when it's working. He overthinks himself. He really just needs to be patient. If the run game is there and you're getting 5 yards a pop, keep getting 5 yards a pop. That's all you have to do. If he can shorten games, he can win more games by shortening them. The problem is he gives up and wants to score quickly, and it's to his detriment. Let's see him be a little more patient this year, and he'll have a much better team.
What does Grantonio, aka G Money, need to do on draft night to compete down there?
I will tell you that G Money will most likely end up with a mobile quarterback who can extend the play, but I don't expect him to be picked too early in this one. Offensively, he can really work with anyone, but he really wants that game-changing tight end. If he's available, look for G Money to grab George Kittle. My sources also tell me that offensive line is a big concern for him this year, so don't be surprised if Quentin Nelson is that pick in round 1.
Okay, now we're on to Wags. What does Wags do well? He really utilizes the intermediate throw more than most people in our league. So think the short, skinny post, the dig routes. He's going to use those really, really well. When he sticks to his run game, he's really hard to beat. The problem is he does give up on the run quite a bit. So when he sticks to the run, it's a strength, but he gives up on it. That is one weakness I would love to see him work on. A strength and weakness of Wags is his alter ego, Backyard Wags. He's really tempted to always run out of the pocket when the pocket's usually clean. Now, he gets some big plays from that. He also runs into trouble from that. He needs to tame that alter ego and use it when the time is right. Wags is a very tough opponent and will always be in contention to make it to the Super Bowl.
What does he need to do to win on draft night?
Like G-Money, Wags needs a mobile quarterback. But unlike G-Money, I expect Wags to go in the first round and grab him. He's going to snag an elite defensive lineman and grab a stud receiver within those first 3 rounds, but I expect quarterback to be taken first. If he's available, Kyler Murray is the easy pick for Wags. If Kyler Murray isn't available, I'm looking for him to start building that D-line with Nick Bosa.
All right, now we've got King Trav. What does he do well? He's going to make you play his style of game. It's going to be gross. It's going to be a mud fight. There's going to be some sloppy, crazy things that happen. He is really good at using chaos as a ladder and beating people by playing that way. Very frustrating opponent. He goes on these basketball-like scoring runs where it's touchdown, interception, touchdown. Real fast, 14 points are up on the board. You got to be ready when you get into a game against King Trav. Things he needs to work on. Where's his counter punch? When you take away the run game from him, what does he do? He needs that run game working to make the pass game work. Can he play a clean game from start to finish? That's a big thing with King Trav, is playing clean. He often will get up big and then have the other team come back on him because he starts to play sloppy.
What does King Trav need to do on draft night to win?
King Trav usually boasts an elite secondary. They'll be able to force turnovers and then have the speed to take it the distance back on you. At quarterback, he just needs a mobile guy who can extend the play. While King Trav's defense is typically built off the secondary, my sources are telling me that he's looking to build D-line early this time. Expect the secondary pick, but don't be shocked if he ends up with Nick Bosa or TJ Watt when it's all said and done.
Okay, now we've got Mr. Bean. And what does Mr. Bean do well? He will attack you with his defense. He has an attacking defense. It's hard to see what he's in. He's got guys lined up everywhere. He'll have middle linebackers over the A gap, D tackles over the C gap. He moves his defense around really, really well and is great at forcing the interception. Offensively, he kind of does a little bit of everything. He runs the ball well. He can hit you deep. He can nickel and dime you down the field. Really good at that. What does he need to work on? His defense needs to evolve. It's great until someone figures it out, but once someone figures it out, he doesn't change. He just keeps trying to do the same thing. He's got to evolve there. Offensively, limit the turnovers. You have a good defense. You don't have to force stuff as much. So let's be a little more patient on the offensive side of the ball because the defense is so good at what it does.
What does Mr. Bean need to do on draft night?
Well, much like Natty D, there's very little information to be had on Mr. Bean. But unlike Natty D, Mr. Bean has played in the past. Usually a mobile quarterback works well in his offense, but I do expect him to go defense in the first round. In the past, Mr. Bean has been a huge fan of Jamal Adams, but J.C. Jackson is also a good candidate to be his first round pick.
All right, and that right there concludes today's video. Drydas, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the JFL. Be a friend, tell a friend. Draft is August 21st. We're looking for a 6 p.m. Central start time. We hope to see you all there. Till then, take care.